Let's go. Let's go. Welcome to the Mile High Hotspur. My name is Leo Koiz, and I'm joined by some homies today, and we're going to be talking the pitties. Joining me again is Crash, my homie Jared. How you doing? And making the debut on the show, my homie Mitchell. How you doing, Mitch?
Good, buddy. Thanks for having me on, man. I'm so hyped.
Let's
Yeah,
go.
thanks for having us
Crash.
again.
Yo, my homies, thank you guys. I appreciate one, taking some time out of your busy evenings, and two, just coming and kicking it with the homie. Let's talk some pitties because this weekend, my homies, we came back with a vengeance. We went up against a good team. All around, in my opinion, I want to say this was a good performance from the pitties. Probably not the best. I'm not going to go that far, but in terms of how we played, how we got the win, what it meant, and kind of how we were talking. San Diego came through with some fire, you know what I mean? They came through with their supporter section as well. Um, I'm gonna go with Crash, my homie. Just first thoughts off of this game. Looking back at the game, my homie, what do you think?
For me, it was just a fun game at home. I went into it expecting the worst, to be honest. And, coming out of Vancouver, I mean, we always know that the Pids always, they usually have a good bounce back game from a tough loss. So I was hoping for the best. I was hoping to see that, but, really was kind of expecting it not to go the way I'd hoped. And I was definitely very much pleased to see the boys come out and play a really good game. And it was fun to watch. Lots of goals. Got even a little nervy at the end. My stomach was a little bit hyped. My heart rate monitor on my watch was giving me alerts at the end there. But yeah, it was definitely a good game to watch for sure.
Mitch, what about you, bro? Just looking back at it, first impressions, what you got to say about the game, my homie?
First impressions was, I mean, number one, big win. Big win after a big loss, right? Like that's exactly the formula you need to kind of, set the course. So number, that has to be before everything, right? Like before you get into some nitpicky things with substitutions and maybe just general approach to the game and approach to maintaining that lead. Um, they won. They won at home against one of the best teams in the league, and to me that was the most important thing that this team could do. Came in dead middle of the MLS in terms of points, goal differential, like they were exactly 15th, right? And that's basically where they were last year, right? Was bottom of the playoff pack, and to have a performance like this after getting kind of hosed by Vancouver, I think it was pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, and leading up to the game, we kind of were falling into this type of pattern where we were winning one game, then losing one game, winning the game, and I think I actually told you, Mitch, wasn't it before the game? I was like, well, if anything, it leads us to believe today we will probably see a good Rapids victory, and yeah, sure shit, my homies, the Rapids did pull it out. We will dissect a bit about the game. I just wanted to get overall first impressions, just looking back on the game. And what I like to do around here, my homie Mitch, is I use SofaScore. I don't know if you've heard of SofaScore before. It's kind of just like your foot mobs
Yeah.
and different type of stats things, and I always try to just pull up the Rapids game and to see how it went. And I think today we're going to start off by doing the same thing. But like always, I always come unprepared, and it takes me a minute to get to the page that I need to share. Um, but look, bro, before we do talk about the game, one of the biggest obvious is, I guess, we will just start, Mitch, and I'll go with you off of this one, bro.
Sure.
Just seeing the lineup, seeing the way Chris Armas was going to go against this team, um, did you feel? I mean, you see Yappy coming in for Cabral. Um, I'm assuming that was the change. Um, how'd you feel about that, bro? Like, just finally seeing Cabral's name not on the starting sheet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Giving way to somebody else who probably can take advantage of that opportunity, and seeing Yappy on there amongst the team. How'd you feel about that, homie?
Yeah. Yappy. he's such a, he's still so young. He still doesn't have as much experience as you think he does. Um, he has a few nice goals. He has, long stretches without goals. But I think the biggest thing was not so much that it was Yappy, but that it wasn't Cabral, right? And coming into the
Mhm.
season, I was a big Cabral guy. I can't believe I did this. I watched every single possible scoring chance from last year, sat down and watched every single one from every game, both offensively and defensively. Offensively, Cabral was so involved, and the offense looked so much worse after he broke his elbow. And I was so sure that they found the sauce having Cole back and having Kevin back. And neither of them actually has had a very good season so far, but specifically Kevin has not had a very good season so far. And there were rumors that he wasn't going to be starting, that towards in practice, that he wasn't with the starter group. And I was thinking Teddy just off the top. That was kind of like, oh, maybe we get Cudi Pietro in here and able to see what he can bring on that contract. And I don't think Yappy nailed down that spot ahead of Kevin in the starting group, but he had two big plays. He had two huge plays. He set up that third goal, scored the second. So hats off to him, right? It's about making those plays, and at the end of the day, Kevin hasn't made any of those yet, right? Kevin has 600 minutes and no goal contributions, and Yappy has one goal in about 100, right? So hats off to him, and maybe Teddy's not there yet. It takes a while to get to conditioning coming off that shoulder surgery. So, he can hold it down. It's just going to take minutes with him. It's going to be a process of minutes and playing with certain people. And, he's still a kid, and it was a good start to see from him personally. Maybe tough when you kind of look at the process, but overall, I come away happy that he was able to contribute in a rough game.
Yeah, Crash, you want to caveat anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I was happy to see a change, right? Something different, right? I know, and I'm with Mitch. I was high on Cabral. I thought he was going to come back after that injury, and just have a banger of a season and prove he has it in him, what everybody didn't see. And, a little bit of the flashes we saw last year. And I think we were all just disappointed. And so that change I thought was necessary. I think even Armas gave him a longer rope than he probably should have had. But Yappy had a great game. For Yappy, I wouldn't say he had a great game for a starting striker on most teams, but I thought he did well for his age and where he's at in his development. But I think at the end of the day is I don't necessarily expect Yappy to do that every game, right? I think that's the biggest challenge we're going to run into in the fix that we have. Seeing Ted get some minutes was big. I was glad to see him available and get out there, and I did really like what I saw from him for the minutes that he did have. But I think he mentioned in one of his post games that the elevation definitely was getting to him, and even though he's been here for a little bit of time, even just the minutes he did get were a bit of a struggle. So it will take him a little bit to get in form, but excited what we saw.
Yeah, we did actually get to see some Cudi Petro minutes there towards the end. So I bet you were feeling a bit tingly in the nether regions there, Crash. I know how you feel about Cudi Petro. And I
Yeah,
was looking
for
at
sure.
him from afar, bro. He's a girthy kid, bro. Like he's like a
Big ton
tree
of meat,
trunk type of
dude.
kid, bro.
Absolutely.
Yeah, bro. I'm like he looks like he could definitely move some things out of his way. So yeah, looking forward to that. Just to touch on the whole Yappy part of this conversation, my homies. I honestly I echo what you guys say. I mean, just based off the little bit that I've seen of Darren Yappy, I mean, even from last year, I was really excited and I was happy to be able to witness his first goal for the Rapids. I don't know if it was in the Leagues Cup or the MLS or whatever, but it was just fun to see. It was good to see him get that goal on the weekend because he fought for his goal, right? He got himself in the position to kind of just nub that toe on it and get it, in the back of the net. A characteristic and a trait that Hoffa has, that I feel that, Yappy is learning from him, just being in the right place at the
Mhm.
right time. I see a lot of similarities in their game, and I really feel that, like, we can all interpret and translate the formation differently. Some people will say it was a 4-4-2, a 4-2-2. Some, like myself, even looked at it still as a 4-2-3-1. However it is that it happened, you know what I mean? I honestly feel that, like, we kind of played that double striker role, that old Premier League, bigger Premier League striker with that, second jumpy striker to kind of pick up anything. And there is going to be horses for courses throughout the season, and I think that's what I'm starting to realize. There will be games where maybe we're going to try this, and there will be games where we're probably just going to try that route one, bang it over to Hoffa, and see if he can't just nip it onto to Georgie or somebody making an overlapping run or something. You know what I mean? So I just always want to give props to Chris Armas, because he always is the first one to say, you know what, these players, and but a lot of it goes on the coach too. The coach is setting these players up, and the coaching staff, and the whole management staff as a whole is just, I feel like they've got this team playing, the way they need to be playing, and Yappy is bought into the system, which is why we seen him probably get the nod over Omir Fernandez or Calvin Harris or Cudi Petro right now. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree. It may just be, it obviously still is early days on this kid's career, but if you're going to be getting these opportunities and playing with the big homies, then you need to be bagging your goals when you get the opportunity. And off the ball, I think he offers a lot too. Lively, full of energy. We like to do somewhat of a higher press. Mid block is what Armas has been saying. You're going to need to be moving. And like I said, when Hoffa's off the ball movement is second to none on the team, and you have a player like Yappy who hopefully can learn some of those traits and characteristics for the future, my homies, I think it looks pretty good. So I'm pretty stoked for that part, looking towards Yappy. And yeah, just take advantage of your opportunity when it comes your way. And because it might be pretty few chances like this throughout the season. You know what I mean? So
Totally.
yeah, definitely glad.
Yeah.
Definitely glad you took advantage of that.
I
Can
mean,
I
it's
ask
always
you a
good to see a
question?
homegrown kid.
Yeah,
Can I ask you guys a question?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you go up 3-1, right? You still have half an hour to kill, right? And obviously you have to be feeling pretty good, right? Like, it's 3-1. It probably should have been 5 or 6-1 based on some of
Mhm.
the goal dangerous actions that didn't turn into anything early in that game. But at the you take off Yappy for Cabral, which Cabral at this point you can't say you're adding any offensive firepower, right? Then with 15 minutes left, you take off Georgie and you take off Vines. So all of a sudden you have 3 guys who were super involved in the offense and the pressure and the ball control, and they're gone. Cole comes off not that long after that, and that 2-goal lead gets down to 3-2. And we were talking earlier about how scary it was coming down to, and it felt like they were uh coaching from like a 4-goal lead, right? And it really felt like,
Mhm.
why are you taking off these guys like this, right? So I don't know. I don't know so much what the question is, so much as like, what did you guys see in those decisions? It kind of felt
Yeah.
like they, like, not an aggressive way to finish a big game against a good opponent, and it was almost like, well, they're done, and they clearly weren't. I
Mhm.
mean, they almost equalized. They had some dangerous moments there at the end of the game. So, I mean, was that the right way? Like, how did you guys feel about those subs and how they sort of managed such a important lead against a good team?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I was interested to see the players out there, but you could tell that they, especially that last goal, they were switched off. There was some moments where I think they were assuming San Diego had less in the tank than they did, or they were, kind of like with Charlotte, you could tell they were 100% gassed at the end of that game. I didn't see the same level of tiredness in the legs of San Diego. They were really pushing. I mean, I think at the very end they were all dead, but they didn't show it as much as others have. And they have enough quality there to, burn you when you turn off, and that's what we saw. So I think I definitely got nervous at the end there. I think, pulling off all those guys, it definitely, you can see it. And, the only benefit is, I think with Ian getting as many minutes as he's been pretty solid on that back line. So I wasn't overly concerned there. And then Keegan's, he's always solid. So the back four, weren't terrible, but, I think at the end of the day, when we lose that press or that attack up front, we don't have anything to, we're just having to hunker down and it gets really challenging.
Yeah, I thought, look, bro, in my honest opinion, I thought at that point when he made those substitutions, you're talking about we took off Sam Vines. I don't think Vines really had that good of a game. I don't think he was really that impactful defensively or offensively. So the like for like with Murphy, I felt was honestly the good move. Murphy has been showing good qualities playing out on the left. He's shown to be able to handle it both going forward and defensively. And then what was the other change that you said? We seen
It was
Wasn't it Cole for Teddy?
Yeah, so I think, and you know what it is, bro? I think maybe like even for that Teddy, we obviously wanted to get him some minutes. Cole's been coming off regularly, kind of in the second half there, midway. So I don't really want to read too much into that because that's kind of a substitution that I guess just the personnel that came on was different this time because Cudi Petro wasn't coming on for Cole Bassett the last couple of games. So it could have probably just been the same formula, different entities going in, if that's the case. Because, I mean, even Keegan got some minutes there towards the end, you know what I mean? So Reggie Cannon came out, who was then getting back into the lineup. Sam Vines as well was getting his back was it his first start or second start? So he's not necessarily, in my opinion, probably up to full 90-minute strength. And at that point, maybe San Diego just got the better of us and capitalized on their goal. And at that, I mean, my homies, we all know that it's a dangerous scoreline when you're up by 2 goals. You know what I mean? You could definitely, the next goal is either going to be crucial for you or it's going to go against you. And yeah, like it was definitely, it came down to clutch time where San Diego, one, they have firepower as well on their team, right? Let's not forget that they have a name on their team that could have easily scored a goal and got them back into the game. And Chucky Lozano, who wasn't irrelevant in the game. You know what I mean? He just, I think he actually got the ball off on the. Did he get the assist? I could be wrong, but
yeah, he did.
he was in there.
Assist,
He was in the mix for the assist. You know what I mean? So, we definitely could have done ourselves a bigger favor probably by capitalizing on some of our bigger chances. Crash, you and I were, before we got on, we were talking about even Cabral had a chance there towards the end of the game that he kind of muffed a bit. So the Rapids did have their own chances as well coming to wrap up the game. San Diego just, got that goal in last minute and then almost tied it up, my homies. But maybe something that we got to learn on, maybe something that Chris Armisen and his team could probably is this substitutions you do maybe later or is the like for like just have to be a bit different in that situation? I don't know, but yeah, it was nervy towards the end of the game, my homies. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
I just think that somebody like Cole Bassett, who runs so much, I mean, last year ran, on a match per match basis more than anyone in the whole league. It's really hard to replicate. There's not a lot of guys that are capable of that, period, let alone in such a limited roster. It's tough to replace that. And, I think Atencio has more than held his own. I think Loraz has had a great season, but it is interesting that those two seem to be sure bets for 90 minutes in these situations than your Georgies and your Coles. Like those guys have been substituted off more than I think any of us would expect, right? And look, it's a long season. Definitely. You got to save legs, right? But I mean, against San Diego, like save some legs against, they have Houston coming up soon, right? Like save some legs in Houston, right? Like it just seems like this was the game where taking off the gas or just shelling up could bite you more than a regular game.
Yeah, definitely. No, I agree. And I think that makes a lot of sense, right? We leave Ollie on, and really, if you go back and look at that goal, in the late in the second half there, it was Ollie that kind of switched off and, didn't get up to, he tried to get up and get a leg in front of it, but, was late on it. So yeah, I think you're right. I think Armis is trying to learn from maybe some of his mistakes last year where he just ran Georgie and Cole to into the ground because he had to. And he's trying to not do that as much. But it's a double-edged sword. You take off some of your best players in the field, you're going to have to live with the consequences. And luckily, we didn't have to see the other side of that on this one.
Right,
I agree, and I also wanted to add to that too. Though is last season we seen Cole playing that kind of a double pivot with sometimes Ronan, sometimes Laraz. You know what I mean? So he was definitely running a lot more last season. That's no lie. And he's getting pulled off a little bit earlier. So we did see Cole Bassett towards the end of the season pick, what was it, like a thigh injury or some shit like that? He did
maybe
pick up a knock
hamstring.
there towards. Yeah, so big up Kellum. We have Kellum. How you doing? He said, I'm really tired, but I saw you was going to go live, so I stayed up so I could hop on. Big yourself up, Kellum. Big up, homie. Hope you're well. Thank you for tuning in. Also, too, Henry, if you're still here or not, I wanted to ask if Leo is still Ange in.
I'm
And
curious about
fortunately
this,
or
Leo.
unfortunately,
I'm curious.
yeah, no, I'm Ange in, homie, because I want Ange to win. But at the same time, I'm tired of seeing my team just fucking shit the bed every week, bro. Honestly, so change is needed, and it shit rolls downhill, and the one that's downhill is Ange Postecoglou. So let's get the ball rolling.
Hey, you got the biggest game of the year this week, though. You can't be out yet, right? Like you couldn't do it now. You know what I mean? You gotta
No,
get
I
through this
agree.
Europa game and see what happens. I'm a United fan, so
It
I'm
should have.
feeling the exact same way as you, bro. It's the same thing. We're in the same place. This Thursday is basically our happiness in the Premier, like, until next season starts.
Yeah, no, homie, it's been a rough one, bro. It's been a rough one, but I mean, look, I'm still holding true to the team, homie. I'm gonna actually, I think I told you I'm flying over there on Wednesday, so through thick and thin, homie, through thick and thin. It is what it is, bro. You know what I mean? Loyal to the same bird. That's what it is. But yeah, big up, Callum. Thank you for joining. See what you started, homie. See what you started. Um, but yeah, no, just to go back on what I've been seeing from Cole Bassett, and even Georgie. I think Georgie's probably gotten some more minutes over Cole right this season. But yeah, Bassett. I mean, and to be fair, my homies, this is gonna sound a bit harsh, but there's been games where Cole has been ass. You know what I mean? And he's come off. So I mean, and there's been more games when Georgie's just been about the minerals, so he's going to be getting the game time. And I mean, we're not. I don't want to beat around the bush on this channel. I mean, this is what it is, bro. There's been games where Cole just, he's been getting taken out, and yeah, it is what it is, my homies. It is what it is. So on the screen here, I have the player ratings, and this is why I kind of say we did the. It says here a 4-2-3-1 formation. However, that could be wrong. What we are seeing here, though, is the player's average position, and our attacking will be going downwards. Of course, we have Zach Steffen up here up top. So this is what I kind of want to. I guess we could start breaking down or talking about the game a bit more. Excuse me. Here we see our back line. Maxu a bit deeper, I guess, trying to anchor it more. And then we see Cheeto a bit higher up here out of the two center backs, taking up some good space there. And then what I like to see is, our wing backs on the side, they're a bit wider, giving us the depth to our to the pitch. But one thing I didn't notice here, and usually that I do notice, is one is a lot higher than the other one. And Sam Vines here, I guess, was a bit higher than Reggie Cannon. And of course, Reggie Cannon was his first game back from injury. I know Sam Vines has gotten a bit more reps under his belt. recently because Reggie Cannon has been injured. And then what I wanted to check out too was we have the double pivot, it looks like here, of Tensio and Oliver Larraz. This game, we seen something different because Oliver Larraz has normally been out here towards the left-hand side where we've been playing somewhat of a 4-3-3. So we've seen changes in that midfield where we see somewhat of a double pivot there with Atencio and Larraz, if I'm not mistaken. And then we move up a little bit more, as that's when we start to see Cole Bassett getting into the mix here. Picked up a lot of distance. If I remember correctly, at some of the other heat maps, Cole Bassett has not gotten this much distance around. So he was definitely active this game. And in the 4-2-3-1 formation that it showed before, it was showing as Bassett kind of playing that holding role, somewhat as the 10 with Georgi Mihailovic out on the left. Darren Yappy, of course, on the right. And then Hoffa, like he loves to do, getting his ass everywhere in the pitch, pressing, being relevant. And even this game, we have a lot of area down here in the penalty box where Hoffa needs to be. And in these games where we're not getting any type of action, my homies, where we're not doing anything, none of these shots on goal, no creation, one of the biggest problems with this heat map is that Rafa is nowhere near this attacking zone. And the reason I brought this up is because we did see shakeup to the, in my opinion, my homies, we did see a shakeup to the formation. Now I know this says 4-2-3-1. We could call it whatever you guys want to call it. That's just what they're going based off of. But you know, we did do some different stuff on this game, my homies. And you see there, we have greens across the board there, as do they, right? But we have Hoffa up here with the 8.4. Obviously, had a very good game. Crash, when you see that, my homie, what are your thoughts on that?
You know, I was surprised at Vines having such a lower rating, to be honest. You know, I thought his play, you know, visibly looks pretty good. I was actually really impressed with his pace. I forgot how fast he is. You know, we're so used to Keegan, and he's definitely lost some of that pace. And so seeing that back, I think, was really good. But I was definitely a little surprised on his rating being a little lower than I expected. But you know, I went back and watched the replay, you know, trying to, you know, get some more visibility than rather be in the stands last night, and I could see where it came from. Right, he's still a little fresh. He's not as you know, ready to play from a quality perspective that I would hope, but I think that's going to come with time and just minutes. But yeah, other than that, I mean, if you look at it, the ratings don't necessarily show exactly the game that you would expect, because you know, San Diego's got a good team and they have, you know, still good quality, and they, you know, we're really pretty much matched on you know, number wise. I think, what are they like, we just had just a couple points higher to get us over the line there. But yeah, so I mean, I was actually surprised to see how highly rated San Diego was on the scores, you know, when it comes to the ratings there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, but bro, it was an evenly matched game. I think, you know, and Mitch kind of said this earlier, we definitely could have been up by more because we did have a few more chances than them.
Bro.
But
Come on. There's at least two instances where they had, well, one where they had no keeper in the goal, couldn't get a shot off.
yeah, no,
And another one where they had, what, 5 shots on goal in like 15 seconds and couldn't put one in either. Bro.
Yeah, was it the first one with Hoffa and Georgie where was it Stefan put it over the top, just dropped it right on top of Georgie, and how it didn't go in, I'm so surprised. I don't have a clue, but that was like the first 5 minutes. I mean, I should have set the tone for the whole game.
Yeah, no, it was like ping pong there inside of our well, not ours, but inside the box there. And it almost felt like the Rapids just it was like, here, you take it. No, you take it. No, here, you take it. No, you take it. Here, you take it. And didn't know which one was gonna take it, bro. And then yeah, just kept getting blocked out of the way there with those shots. There was a couple of instances like that, right? Where there was a couple of chances that happened like that. Yeah, you're right, bro. Could have been a lot more. Um
Here's
Yeah,
a
the one thing
let's
that
so like you still scored 3 goals, right? Like that's great. The Rapids have only scored more than 3 goals twice since I have covered this team. Sorry, 3 times. 3 times. They did it in those back-to-back games, that crazy Red Bull 5-4, and then the next week 4-3 against Minnesota. That was 2022. And then last year when Yappy put on a 4th in that goal, and that's it. They just can't score 4 goals to save their life.
Yeah.
And like, you know, whatever, that's not like that, right? That's kind of a meaningless milestone unless you say it's something, right? But it is insane how they refuse to just pour it on anybody, even when those chances are handed to them on a silver platter. I think when Georgie scored that penalty was what, like just 10 minutes before halftime or something like that. That was the most, a penalty was probably the most difficult scoring chance they had in that first half. And it was the only goal they walk away with.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's like I tell my daughter, like my daughter plays youth soccer. You put your ball in dangerous place, you're gonna, create some opportunities, and we did that a bunch today, which was the best part of the game. I think, we come from Vancouver with no shots on target, and here we have like 10. So I mean, just the fact that we were getting the ball into that dangerous area on the field was just nice to see, and so I mean, the fact that we got 3, great, but if we keep doing that, we keep getting in it's going to happen, right? We're going to be dangerous. But if we can't be consistent with getting the ball in the dangerous places, that's going to be our biggest challenge, right? Being consistent there.
Yeah, I agree. And I think anybody who I'm not really that versed with like the XG and XA type stats or stuff and like that, but the highest that I've seen in a while is this Rapids 3.41 expected goals that we had this game, my homies, because it was all these chances that we had. 9 big chances. Yeah, no, 9 big chances, 20 total shots.
I mean, the 9 big
15
chances
fouls.
is the big number there, right? 9 big chances in one game. That's crazy numbers. And so that just goes to show, we have a lot of upside potential there, right? If we can clean up some of those chances, I mean, that's amazing.
Especially because they have 4 games this year where they combined for 1 shot on target.
Right.
Right? Like, I mean, that's all comps. So, it stretches it to 10 games played instead of 8 or whatever. But like, 4 games, Portland was 1 shot on target, and then no shots on target in St. Louis in the last game against LA and last week in Vancouver. And so to then go from no shots on target to 9 big chances against, I mean, San Diego's flying. They've been rock solid to start this season. It was definitely it was them getting up off the mat, but can we just stay off the mat? Can we stop this like, oh, explosion, 9 big chances, high XG, 20 shots to nothing, to lifeless? It's this team is roller coastering just so hard. It is just so up, so down. And it would be so nice to just find that middle ground steadiness for just a little bit.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I mean,
I'm with you there. That's the biggest concern that I have, is that up and down, and we've got to get that. Otherwise, we're irrelevant. We're just, I think, you look at the table there, we're tied, 4 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws with 3 others that are in that conversation in the MLS on a regular basis. The difference between us and them is that we're up, we're down, we're up, we're down. So nobody knows really what kind of a team we are right now. And there's, who are we showing up as? And until we define that, that'll be the big question.
Yeah, I think we kind of set ourselves up pretty good, spirit wise, and hopefully we could get a good run, because I'm looking here at the next run of fixtures, and let me pull this up for you guys to see as well. We have Houston up next, right? And then let me pull it up. After that, we have Seattle at home, which is going to be a tough game. DC United, you guys could tell me more about this than I could, but I want to say they're probably are they still relevant, or not, my homies?
DC's not having that great of a game or a season so far.
Relevant,
Okay, so
in some ways. I wouldn't call the standings where they are most relevant, but
Right. I mean, they can
So,
be dangerous. They just haven't been so far.
yeah, I'm looking forward the next 5 matches: away at Houston, home to Seattle, away at DC United, home to San Jose, and then we'll wrap it up with a trip to San Diego. So in 5 matches, we play against San Diego again. It's a good benchmark to see where we are in 5 games when we go to face them again. And it's going to be a bit harder because this will be at their place. But I mean, just looking at the next run of fixtures, my homies, without getting too far ahead of ourselves, you know what I mean? We could probably pick up some good points out of there, right? And get some good rhythm heading into that 5th game against San Diego. Kind of just looking out, you know what I mean?
yeah, I mean, Houston, this was definitely kind of like the area where you had to think that, okay, April is like really it's probably going to be post champions. I don't think anyone was expecting a long, deep champions run based on the bracket. And the second half of the schedule on paper looked very brutal. And so you kind of had to think, okay, San Diego expansion team, you play them twice pretty close together. You have Houston, you have DC, you have St. Louis. And now, those San Diego games are difficult, very difficult. Salt Lake, maybe not as much as the past few years. San Jose, you kind of had penciled in as a nice, not easy. It's no game is easy, but all of a sudden it's like, okay, San Jose can put up goals with anybody. Seattle's obviously Seattle. Houston just tends to be kind of a nightmare visit no matter when they go to Texas. It just something weird happens. Like when their backup goalie stands on his head and sets the club record for saves, right? Like it's just this weird stuff just happens to the Rapids in Texas. And so it is still a critical stretch of the season, but it's not critical in the fact that there's easier points. It's now critical in that, these are now like some tests of kind of where you want to be in that Western standings. Seattle at home is going to be an absolute banger, I think. Like absolute, let's see what these guys have. Bring out your best game plan. Because they're kind of a good measuring stick team at this point in the season, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these next 4 games, like you said, I think the consistency of those, right? If we can get a good run of form, that's going to really prove where our identity really ends up being and how we can show up. And if we're still up and down all over the place on these games in the next 4 weeks or so, it's going to be the same concern as we've always had. It's like, what are we going to be? What team are we going to be today? And especially some of these being at home. I mean, like you said, yeah, Seattle and San Jose at home. Those are going to have to be some must-win games to just prove that we have it. Because I think San Jose is going to be the harder of the two, most likely, just based on the talent up front and the form they're in. But it'll be interesting. But I could still see Houston, DC being trap games. We go there expected to win, and like you said, goalie stands on his head. We're just like, what's going on? So I don't know, but I think Ted going back to DC, hopefully he gets a banger goal as a welcome home present.
Yeah, I mean, you probably are expecting, they'll be favorites in most, they probably won't be favorites in San Diego. Probably not against Seattle, or at least be close. They might be because they're at home. But
Yeah.
especially with St. Louis, Salt Lake, Houston, and DC in there, you have to take care of business in those. And then results against Seattle and San Diego and San Jose are kind of icing. You know what I mean? Like take care of business in those kind of dumpy games. which has been
Mhm.
tough. The Rapids don't tend to just take care of business. They like to make things difficult, right? As
Yep.
they
Yeah.
have for our
Yeah.
existence. But man, some fun ones. Like that is a fun stretch of the season. That San Diego game should be pretty lit, right? Like
Oh
that
yeah.
crowd was super intense. I don't think I've seen an away crowd like San Diego's at the Richard in my time covering the team.
No. I mean, I was pulling up to Dick's at around maybe 6:20, 6:30, and there was a pack of them out in front of the entrance, cheering with flags, and I mean there was probably 100 of them just wandering the streets as we were pulling in. And I was like, oh boy,
Dude.
this is gonna be a fun one. I mean,
The,
luckily
the,
some of them were polite enough, they were relatively respectful, saying hi to people on the way in, but they definitely were a much bigger crowd than I've ever seen from an away group.
that was fucking fun, bro. To see a team support come like that. LAFC last season, they had some people. Don't get me wrong. They had a bit of a crowd. I'm trying to think. San Jose had a bit of a crowd. Some people do travel with their teams, bro, but they showed up, bro, and they were loud all game long. Mad respect to the San Diego
Mhm.
supporters, honestly, my homies. And they even had the smoke bombs, which I thought was
Yeah.
fucking dope in my own. I thought that was dope, dude. Like just watching the whole smoke, just the cloud. Yeah, man, I'm editing my video, and I'm to that point now where that smoke bomb is in the video, and I'm like, dude, that's fucking dope, man. Like I said earlier, it may mess things up for them when they go to another stadium, but I mean, dude, go on, my homies, that was dope.
Who came in
Yeah.
during Leagues Cup last year with the smoke? Was it
I think
Leon?
I think it
no,
was.
I don't remember, homie.
Because they
You know
had
what? It
that
must have been Leon
supporter
because they were on the
section,
opposite side. Yes,
right?
on yeah,
And
you're right.
someone threw it
You're right.
before the end of the game, and they ended up losing. And it was one of those late heroic Rapids moments in that run. But that's the only thing that comes to mind in terms of an equal representation for a visiting squad like that.
Mhm.
Good on
Yeah.
them. It's tough to reach that level ever, I think, in the MLS, and to have it right off the jump is pretty sick. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
hats
Yeah,
off
it's
to
I
them.
I
agree.
mean, I love seeing it. It's good. I mean, we don't like it's. I think we talked about it, Leo, the last stream, but it's we don't get that away support, right? It's hard to get to all those games and travel. I mean, we're traveling the scope of a European Champions League game every week, and so to get supporters to come, it's always fun. I enjoy it, and like I said, if they're respectful and they're coming having a good time, but still cheering on their squad, let's go. So hopefully we can have a group to go and go to San Diego and show up as well.
Coach even said that in his press match presser, bro. He's like, it was dope. Hopefully we could take a crowd over there, because they asked him if this could be like, right away we like to put everything in the microwave and see how big it could get. They were like, yo, could this be like the start of a rivalry? And he was like, who knows, man? Like, you never know. Like, this is how rivalries are made. But
Well, if
yeah,
we
my
beat them at
homies.
home coming up, it will be a rivalry for them. That's for sure.
Absolutely. That's an interesting week. Because you have San Jose at home, which you should beat San Jose at home. We already beat them away. That's a should beat them, but dangerous game. Just because they could score 4 on you, right? Like they could.
Yeah.
They might not, they probably won't, but they could. And that makes it dangerous. Then you travel to San Diego, and then you're home for Rocky Mountain Cup. Then that's Saturday to Saturday. Like that's gonna be a nice little 3-7 and see what happens with these guys. 3-8, whatever. That's exciting to me.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, especially ending with the first round of Rocky Mountain Cup. That's a good run of games, a fun week of soccer there for sure.
Man,
Yo, Crash, can you guys just continue talking for a minute? I got to run inside to my wife. I was telling Crash, my daughter's a bit sick. I'll be right back, my homie.
I got you.
Yeah, no
I
worries, man.
got
We
you.
got it.
Yeah, look at us running this. We got this.
Let's go.
All right. Teddy, what did you see from Teddy? It was tough. I was down in 117. and play in the opposite direction. I
Mhm.
didn't have the best view. I've watched back at least the highlights, but not the full game. What did you like what you saw from Ted? I don't know how much of a sample size there
Yeah.
was to even base the start of an opinion on how he has played so far.
I liked at least what I initially saw, right? Like I said, small sample size, wasn't there much, but when he got the ball at his feet, you could see the quality there, right? He was able to get upfield. He did what he says he does, right? He likes to take people on one-on-one. He likes to get the ball at his feet and move down the field and, make something happen. So, he had a couple opportunities with it. And, even with that volley at the end, like it just didn't quite get there. He just wasn't in front of it enough to get it. But I mean, he's a good shot. He could have had a goal in his debut, which was pretty cool. So more minutes will tell. But I mentioned to Leo last week, when he came when we got him, I kind of watched back all of the DC United, goals from last season just to kind of get a expectation of him. And you could see the quality. And I think it's something that we're missing. He's got a bit of a dog on, in him. And I'm excited to see that come out.
Yeah, the dog thing for sure. Like defensively, he screams Chris Armas guy, Red Bull style energy drink ball
Mhm.
defender in that position. I don't know enough about him offensively. The profile screams that he's going to fit in on that end, and the effort and the work rate and distance
Yeah.
covered and all those little things that you want to see from a guy. Um, I mean, I don't think we want him to play like Kevin has had to play or Omir or Calvin have had to play out on the wing.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you want him to play like you've had kind of Georgie or Cole or someone else got on the wing. I kind of wonder how they're going to sort of shift that attack one way or the other. How forward is he going to press? Is he going to slide in and let Georgie get ahead of him? How
Mhm.
how is he going to work his way offensively into this? Because if it really is only those two guys up top, like we've seen in those, in those heat maps, I'm just really curious to see how it fits. Because we don't really have a profile like him out in the wing.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think the one thing that interests me the most about him is his ability to just get the ball into the box too. Right. I think, he's playing with Benteke. So you play with him, you're getting across the ball into the box and he's going to put in the back of the net. That's your
Yeah.
goal. Right. So at least he's got the quality or at least the experience of knowing, okay, get close, get the ball straight into the box, put it where it's dangerous, and let's get it in the net. So, and I think that's something we've been missing, even for the past, last season to this season, getting those good crosses into the box from wide. We like to take it. We like to get it closer and get it to that next shot or to get that pass central. So we're not seeing a lot of those quality crosses in. If not, they're like high and over or something along those lines. So I'm hoping to see something a little more accurate to get in, and maybe we have some, an extra arrow in our quiver to in the attack.
And can Keegan get enough ahead of him to let him kind of work that inside, right? Like that's kind of a lot to ask on that right side. It's almost be more comfortable with Keegan or with Sam on the left. Reggie also has sort of been kind of hanging back compared to that
Mhm.
left side. I don't know. It's an interesting problem it's a good problem to have, right? Like
Yeah.
it's exactly the kind of problem you want to have. And how can we integrate this kind of new puzzle piece, right?
Mhm.
Honestly, Wander's in the chat. Shout out to our guy Wanners.
Yep.
He kind of sold me on Teddy when the news came through. I do not watch much Eastern Conference. I only have so much time to watch MLS. The East can wait for me, right? Like I'll catch it on MLS wrap up or something, but I'm not going to invest too much time. So I didn't really know what to expect from Teddy, and he sold me pretty
Mhm.
quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way. If I was just bored one day and I was like, I need some soccer fix, so I'm gonna watch back all of this Teddy's, DC's, and I like what I saw. So yeah, I mean, I think Warner's has got it. I'm excited to see what he can contribute, and time will tell.
Yeah, I do want to take this opportunity first. Yeah, like you said, say big up to Quanners for joining in the comments. Big up to Bobby K. He says big up to the panel and everybody in the chat. And then we have the homie Dylan from the from C38 is in the house. So big
Oh
yourself up,
yeah.
my homie. It's good to see the Rapids homies in the place to chat about the things pitties, my homies. And I was listening to how you guys were talking about how you guys started going took over the show and started talking about Cudi Petro. I think that's perfect, bro. He's gonna start getting these minutes, dude. And like I kind of
Has
mentioned
to.
earlier, yeah, and how I mentioned earlier, like it's gonna be horses for courses, and I just hope that we like get it bang on when he plays. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
he looks like a girthy player that's just gonna run some shit over and take some names when he's playing. And
Mhm.
I think he's even like Dylan said. I think that opportunity on that shot he took was insane, right? Because he could have got a goal for on his debut as well. Um, so
Mhm.
yeah, Mitch, just before I mean I kind of want to go for like about an hour, so we got a couple more
Sure.
minutes left. Just to wrap up, bro.
Yeah.
Just any final thoughts about just what we seen, bro? Looking forward at the fixtures
Mhm.
that we got going on. Like just kind of your final thought, my homie.
Yeah, I mean, where we're at this point in the season, bro. Where's Cole Bassett, man? Where's Cole Bassett? That's kind of like my biggest
Mhm.
question left with this squad right now. I'm sure there's nothing to totally panic about. He has, one of the nicest statistical profiles for his position in the league. I'm sure it will come at some point, but he finally went ahead of Keegan in goal contributions on Saturday, right? Like that
Mhm.
needs to get that he needs to find ways to contribute to the score sheet because look, Keegan or sorry, Georgie and Hoffa, they're contributing at half a goal a game. Now that probably needs to also be a little bit higher. You probably want that closer to 2/3, maybe even a little higher. You're paying these guys top end stuff, but um, Cole I think has really struggled with having to move around the
Mhm.
pitch, and he'll figure it out. He's a good player. He's a great player. I mean, I'm kind of surprised he's still here. Really, in terms of, I'm
Yeah.
sure there are a lot of scouts that have watched him play and think they could do something with him in their own club. Um, but he needs to find something. And Georgie and Hoffa, I was almost including them in the conversation in that kind of thought process for the last couple weeks, and this last game kind of okay. They're fine, right? We're
Mhm.
a quarter of the way through the MLS season, roughly, in there at half goal a game in terms of goal contributions. That's where I want to see them on the lower end of where I want to see him, but still comfortable. But Cole, we need him. Like just plain and simple, his team hits another level when he's playing at the level he's capable of. And the fact that there's still only a point out a second, right?
Mhm.
With
Yeah.
him
Yeah,
playing
I
like
think so.
this, like if he finds a groove, it might get scary hours for the rest of the West with this team.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, I agree. I think, you can tell Cole's been in his head. I mean, coming off last, the iconic, video of him giving his, brother his high five as they leave the field on his debut, and he's just super pissed. I think that shows he knows he's not playing up to what he should be. And I'm not sure if it's the style that they're playing this season, if it's him, in different roles. It's just uncomfortable, or they're just asking too much of him, at the beginning of the season. But it was nice to see him at least visibly have a better game, right? You could tell he was not, he was frustrated when he made he couldn't get a goal in or, different chance, but the assist and the way he played, he came off the field much in a much better mood. I think if we can get more of those from Cole and we get a good solid performance in the next few games, yeah, we're a dangerous team. But if we can't get his engine going like it was last season, we could be, it could be a little more challenging than we'd like it to be.
Uh, I got a question for you guys, my homies, and I mean I'm honestly not in a rush to finish, my homies. If we need to finish, we definitely will. But I want to what about our defense? You guys talk about Cole and just kind of the inconsistency, not necessarily inconsistencies, but the lack of being consistent. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, what about in our defense, my homies? Do you think the way Well, I guess I'll just put it bluntly. Is our formation, is our back line where it's at right now, or what would you think? Because he's done some experimenting there. We have Maxu that could play there, Cheeto. We have Cannon that can also deputize there if need be. We have Murphy who could slot in on that left center back. We have Vines that could play that left back. Travis Jackson, who will get some minutes when he's fit, probably on the right side. Keegan Rosenberry. Have we seen, or have you seen, I guess I'll go with Mitch, your perfect center back pairing yet? What makes you feel the most comfortable going forward with this squad that we have? Talking
Yeah.
defensively.
Yeah. I think Cheeto's been awesome. I think, I don't think we've actually really totally seen the things that I think he's best at kind of affect the team yet, which is those, skip a level passes to really break and off, really get the offense broken out. But he's been athletic. He had the head down to Yappy's foot for the goal. I think he's aggressive. He played an hour on a yellow last game and was aggressive the whole time, or 2 games ago in the last win. But those outside backs, like, they all kind of bring, outside of Vines, they're all kind of like Murphy, Keegan, Reggie, they kind of all give you the same profile, right? Of solid, can swing across when they need to, sound positioning, tenacity. Sam, man, when he came on in that Vancouver game, he was kind of the only bright spot for me in terms of, like I was saying, with Cheeto being able to get those passes up a level, right? Skip Atencio, skip Ollie, skip Cole, get it up to a winger, get it up to Georgie, get it up to someone dangerous, and make the defense really have to change how they're formed and which way they're running. But I don't know how to pair them all together. I don't know who I think pairs best with everyone. Maxu, I think, started off kind of rough and has played, I think, pretty well the last few games. I mean, definitely nothing to pull him out. I wouldn't, I think those two are kind of put him in Sharpie on the starting 11. But I kind of like what all the rest do on the outside. Keegan's Mr. Rapid to me. I don't think you can take him off. Okay, well, now you have Murphy, you have Reggie, and you have Sam. Who do you put next to him, right? Like, and here's the thing: if you want to get Keegan or Reggie into a back five, you can't pull Atencio, you can't pull Ollie. You're definitely not pulling Cole. And are you just not going to start that Yappy, Cabral, whoever slot and put a defender at the back? Okay, well, then your offense has just got a lot less danger. I don't know. There's just so many wrinkles to how you set this team up, but also, I don't know. Like, Sam had a rough year. I still think he brings the most dynamic offense, definitely not defense. Reggie's a demon. He remember when he slapped Dane St. Clair just in a game. I mean, I want that guy out there. Like, like, I want him on the field. So that really is the most interesting to me. Like, that is just, I like Jackson on the bench. I like Big F and Michael Edwards, as Dylan pointed out. And like Juaner's just said in the chat, Ian Murphy has been absolutely steady out there when called upon with injuries. He's like, you cannot knock him. So I'm just very curious to see who, whether it's in training or games, who has a big moment, whatever, who, like, someone's going to force themselves into that starting spot and make it kind of harder to take away from the rest of them. But it's almost a problem where they have like an extra 1 or 2 outside backs that should start, and that's a tough position to be in.
Yeah. No, bro, and that's across the whole board, my homie. The only position where we don't have that issue would be up top with Hoffa, right? Hoffa's the only one basically right now that necessarily shouldn't have to, I guess, fear for that looking over the shoulder type of mentality. But yeah, a couple of good comments here. Let's not forget about Edwards, right? Edwards definitely
goal of the season last season.
Yeah,
that backfield was sick.
Right.
Chris Armas says this. You have to stay ready to be ready, and a lot of these players are literally embedding that. The biggest one being Murphy, right? Probably the one that could say, "Hey, I've been done the dirtiest," because he started the season playing fucking phenomenal. Then Maxu walks right back into that starting spot, and what does that mean? He gets left out of the lineup. Now he has to go to the left-hand side where he just stepped in and didn't miss a beat. Gets pulled because it's either going to be Rosenberry or Reggie Cannon there. What does he do? He goes and sits humbly on the bench, gets called upon, deputizes the way he needs to be. And you're right, my homie. This is a good problem to have. And the reason I posed this question and Crash, we'll go to you next for it, bro, is because I think we have seen our perfect mix of back four, but we've just seen so many that I don't know which one it is. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The answer's in there.
Yeah,
We've
for
seen
sure.
it. We just don't know which one it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, no, I think Waters mentions that Murphy's been steady, and I think that is what you want from a depth piece, right? He was never going to come in and be that starter that we wasn't going to take anybody's place, right? But I think his ability to play with Cheeto and know from Cincy, having that relationship, it was solid for us to get that going, and I think if anything for Ian, it showed the coaching staff and everybody that he's a better acquisition than we even realized, right? And I think him being able to play, especially out as a fullback, and and be solid out there as needed, it's huge for us to have that off the bench opportunity, right? Or somebody gets injured, somebody needs a rest. Nobody's going to question Ian being out there on the field, which is awesome, right? I mean, Edwards, I think he's got some good quality to him. We've seen some inconsistencies. Maybe he just doesn't have the minutes. So it's nice but I think having that a solid bench of defenders to pull from is huge for us. So, I think as they find that mix, I think having, like you said, Vines, he's definitely better offensively than he is defensively. But we're going to need that, right? And if we need to, park the bus to a degree, and we pull Vines off and put Ian on, I'm not overly concerned with that, right? I think the best for Ian is he's not playing past his ability, right? He's being consistent. He's playing, solid. He's not getting too far downfield because he knows he's not going to have that speed to track back. So he's playing safe but smart. And I think that's what you want from somebody on defense. You don't want somebody to commit themselves to a tackle or push too far up the field and then to get beat. So I think having a good solid back line like that is what we're looking for. And I'm hoping we see more from Cheeto. I think we've seen some good solid minutes from him. I think we benefited from that trade for sure with Cincy. But I think he still has more in the tank once he gets. I mean, he's still new to the league too, right? He had how many games at Cincy, and now he's
he played
a
100
quarter of the
games.
season with that.
I think he played 105-ish games before he got here, which is crazy because it doesn't seem like he's been in the league that long. But through injuries,
really, I thought he was. Oh wow!
Since he has I doubt those are all starts, obviously, but since he's had those backline struggles and all of a sudden, or not struggles, injuries. Here's the thing that we didn't even get to say Jackson Travis in all of this conversation, and that dude is a demon in terms of speed, and I think he has such a high ceiling, but he's not getting on the field at outside back, not right now. And with Michael Edwards, I think I would still take Ian, Reggie, and Keegan at center back in a pinch before I would want Edwards out there. So it's nice to have two guys like that at the end of the defensive room there that you're like, you guys probably aren't going to play, but if you do, we're good with it. Like, good, cool.
Yeah.
We trust you.
Juanes has a good comment here from earlier on too. There'll be some midweek games too, where some of these players that are not necessarily getting the most amount of game time, we'll definitely have to take advantage of it. My homie Bobby K says bedtime over here, so big up everyone and have a good night. Big yourself up, my homie. Thank you for tuning into the stream, my homie. Be safe. Much love to you, Bobby. That's my homie Bobby K.
Hey, Leo.
So yeah, like I was saying, yeah.
I don't know how close we are to the end. Can you tell us about this trip you got going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, we can talk about whatever, homie. That's a good thing about having the show. We talk about whatever, homie.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I'm going on Wednesday, homie. I'm gonna go. It'll be my third time going this year. Thank God. And so it's all because I've met tons of people through the YouTube community, Spurs YouTube community, and it's opened my eyes to being able to go to London and to be able to make it happen. And so I'm gonna go this week. I'll go watch Leighton Orient. I got my scarf right here. The last time I went and saw them. So I'm gonna go see Leighton Orient play against Barnsley. That'll be on Friday. I'll be there over Easter
They had a
weekend,
J
which I
live.
guess is
Yeah, you're gonna
huh?
see Jonathan Lewis, bro.
Oh, he plays for Barnsley. That's right. Holy
Yeah.
fuck, dude. Yeah, you're right, bro. I'm taking some rapid stuff too, right? Because I
Hell
want
yeah.
to. I might do a stream out there, one of these streams, because I'll definitely try and stay up really late to watch the game on Saturday, because it'll be 7 hours ahead. But yeah, bro, I'm just gonna go out there and see the homies, watch some footy, and yeah, bro, hopefully have a good time, eat some good food, and I haven't seen my team win in London yet, so hopefully the third time's the charm. But I mean, the last times I went, bro, the fixture has been the last thing on my mind. Like I said, I go out there and meet tons of my friends, and just socialize with a bunch of good people. And if I'm honest with you, Mitch, going to London last year made me fall more in love with my hometown club because I've said this on plenty of streams, bro. I'm not afraid to say it. I went and I checked out a little non-league football match
Mhm.
between Enfield Town and Chatham Town, and I was like, holy fuck, man, like grandmas are here with the hot dogs and beers. You got the little kids, bro, the old
Yeah.
guys, the young people, like you have the community here like watching your team play. And over there, bro, like a lot of it is like neighborhoods, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I was like, bro, like I have this. And at that point, I had been to maybe like 3 Rapids games last season.
Mhm.
And I was liking it, don't get me wrong, but I was like, I have this at home. Like I definitely have this. It's not the same, don't get me wrong, but it's not different. It's not worse. You know what I mean? It's the same vibe. I go to tailgate, meet new people, hang out with the homies, watch my team play. And that's what going to London is
Yeah.
for me, homie. And if you really want to know, bro, it's more like I do it, bro, because it makes me value what I have here, bro. It makes me
Mhm.
it makes me not take advantage of the shit that I do take advantage of. It makes me remember that, like, if I want to set goals for myself, bro, I can definitely do that. You know what I mean? And going
Mhm.
to London for me, bro, a kid, I mean, now we have time to talk, homie. My mom raised us as a single parent in the projects, and you're talking to a kid that grew up in poverty, bro, that never would have thought to have a passport, never would have thought that I would
Right.
travel to another place, let alone to go watch the football team that I love, you know what I mean, to go to their stadium to watch it. So going to London for me, bro, is a blessing, homie, and I take a like full advantage of being able to do that, and I soak it up, bro, for what it is, bro, because we're only here for a little bit, homie, for real, dog, and who knows if I'll ever be able to go back to London again, dog, you know what I mean? God
Right.
forbid something happens, you know what I mean? So I encourage anybody like yourself. You said you're a Man U fan. I don't know if you've
Mhm.
ever been over there or
I
not, homie,
haven't.
but I
I've
encourage
never made it.
everybody to make the pilgrimage, homie. That's your Mecca. I mean, that's your place of worship, homie. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
for real.
it's
You
something
see
that like
this?
we all have to do, homie.
I got the first club team I ever cared about, still do. It's difficult to watch them, but Schalke FC, Bundesliga 2. Tough Bundesliga, tough to catch Bundesliga 2 games over here. But they built
Damn.
Beltons for the '06 World Cup, and I mean, I literally have a model of it right here on my wall. I mean, they sold 50,000 season tickets this year for a Bundesliga 2 side. Bundesliga
I saw
2,
that, homie.
50,000 season tickets. That's you could fill the dick 3.5 times or some shit, right? Like that is such a
Mhm.
crazy amount. That's something that I've never experienced on a level outside of like college football or something, right? Like
Mhm.
that to me is something I have to see and I want to experience. I'm so jealous you've gotten to go, but I really loved your point on there is such community. When I was when I was at DNVR and I was doing much more, trying to do the capital J journalism stuff, I didn't really fully delve into as much of the fan side. And I've been in 117 all season this year. I've been at every tailgate, minus the day game. I couldn't make it. I had to work, but it is such a community, man. You just see people, especially like at halftime, all of a sudden everyone's walking by and catching up like they're, like a post-church donut hang or something. Like it's like this total community vibe where it's like, oh, how are the kids? How's work? How's this? How's it? And it's like you just see it happen all over the place. You get 50 people saying hey as you're walking around the tailgate.
Mhm.
It really has changed how I view the club, how I view the fans, how I view everything around the Colorado Rapids this year. Is there is real community and real culture there, and it's not their fault that people don't shine the light on it that they deserve, because it's
Mhm.
real. It is there. Now, is it
Yeah.
on the level of Spurs or Schalke or
Yeah.
United or anybody? No, like obviously not,
Yeah.
right? But it's so cool to see.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, it's like
sorry,
I say this is
this.
the okay.
Go ahead, Crash.
Twice.
Go
No,
ahead.
you're good, man. Sorry. I was just gonna say is like for me, like this is my first year being a season ticket holder, and I have my in-laws are next to me. They've got two. I take one of my kids usually. And then we have two friends, that are next to us. One of them comes with their kids, and it's a family environment, right? And we're just having a good time. It's the first year my in-laws have ever been to a soccer match ever. And I get to talk to my mother-in-law, who's a huge sports fan. She comes from LA, so she's a Rams or a Chargers fan, or has season tickets to the Clippers. She's bought into team sports for sure, and so she gets there to experience something new with her grandkids, and I can tell her about the players and where they come from, and it's just such a fun environment. And now being able to be even closer to the community, seeing people I know, at the match during, like you said, during halftime, just whatever it might be, crossing or just saying hi. For me, it's a tighter knit community than you really realize, and the fact that everyone's welcome, I think, is the other side of it that I love. And it's just that environment, especially for like my kids to be able to involve, just to have an enjoyable time. Like my son's 4, and you better believe when they score, he's stripping his shirt off and waving around his head and ready to go. But it's just a fun environment no matter which we go. So I love the community, and that's the best part about it for me.
Yeah. And you gotta love the Dev Dogs. Who doesn't love the Dev Dogs?
Yeah, shout out Dev, bro. Hell yeah. Yeah, man, Leo, for real, man. I just want to say, like, so dope you're doing that, bro. I'll be watching it for real. Whatever you put up from that, I'm happy for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I
sure,
mean
man.
that's real passion, bro. Like that's like something that well deserved, well earned. And I mean, just have a blast, bro, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
bro. Yeah, I appreciate that, homie. I appreciate you asking. I haven't really talked too much about it, bro, just because it's been stressful, homie. Like I said, my immediate family, my wife and my kids, they suffer while I'm gone, and I suffer not being with them. So
Mhm.
I'm gone just enough time to make me, just be grounded to realize what I have, and it makes me want to be a harder worker at work. Makes me want to
Yeah.
be a better dad. It makes me want to be a better son, a better friend, a better homie. And it's just something
Yeah.
that I need to keep doing, homie. I'm a
Yeah.
former addict, you know what I mean, and it's just part of my program to just keep trucking my homie. And
Yeah,
never
same.
would it have been possible had it not just been for the effort that I've been putting in. And
Yeah.
sky's the limit, homie. Like I tell everybody, bro, sky is the limit, bro. And especially when when your heart's in the right place, bro, and when you're doing shit for the right reason, homie,
Mhm.
you're always gonna see the benefits of it, bro. And
Yeah.
which is why I like doing these streams, my homie, which is why I reach out to different people, which is why I'm glad I see you guys when I see you to reach out to make these streams, because the more we can do this, you know what I mean? Like Mitch, now you got your thing going now, you know what I mean? You got your show going, you know what I mean? Crashes it. Hopefully soon, maybe one day we'll have his thing going. But you never know. The more people that just get involved with it, bro, we might see 2 more YouTube channels next year. You never know.
Right,
We might see
right.
3 in 4 years. You know what I mean? But one thing that you said, homie, is for sure the Rapids are taking notice of a lot of things that is going on with the fan base, and they're trying to capitalize on it, homie. They're definitely looking out for, they're making it easily to be a community vibe, bro. So big them up as well. I definitely got to say big up to, at least that point of what the Rapids are trying to do, my homies.
Are you
And like
guys
Connor just says, it's growth.
familiar with Glory Magazine?
No.
Glory
I
Magazine is
heard
like
of them.
so the thing you might have seen is they do like these sort of almost like coffee table books, like city guides to soccer, club histories. They're very like simplistic, modern sort of vibe, great photography, almost, like art, simple presentation, but clean, well designed, clean stuff. And I know no one's really said anything, but I saw the one of the co-founders posted it on LinkedIn, so I think it's fair we can talk about it. They've just spent a couple weeks with the Rapids, and we're getting something with the Rapids. They were on one of the C-38 buses to the game. They've been at training. They've been interviewing people from comms to marketing to ticketing to the executive level to the scouts to the players. And I think, while I think the way that this community is right around this team and the way this team has sort of and the club has sort of found an identity in these players that are fighting for the next level, right? How many guys? They even added Bryce Jameson, who's going to be fighting for future US, national team spots. So it's like they've created and found a culture, and to get noticed from an outlet like Glory is very cool. And I think while it may not resonate on like an ESPN level or American sports level, I think in the soccer community that spreads literally around the globe, there is some notice into how they're doing things and how this community is rallied around a club like this. And I think it's just very cool to see something like that. So check out Glory #1. Check out what they do. It's very cool, especially if you're a fan of like a big club too. On top of this, in terms of world, they have very cool kind of artsy level stuff, and the Rapids are going to get that.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've heard the name, right? Whether it's in the interviews, and I was listening to somebody's podcast a while back, and I forget who it was or which one it was, but I did hear they were doing a piece on Balboa too. Was it you?
I think he's part of it. I think he's part. I doubt it's just a article, because they do have like a magazine and where there's just articles. But I think this is really a like one of those, like more like a compendium, if you will, right? Or like a just like here's the club, here's the big players, here's the big games, here's what the supporters do, just like a sort of coffee table book, or put it on the shelf behind you on on a internet
That's
show
cool.
set
Well,
or something like that. It's very
I know
cool.
somebody who'll be picking one up.
Yeah, I mean, to take my money now. Do you want my like routing number? I'll just like send it to you now so it can land. Like
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, and I love that, for me, I think like what really got me hooked in the community really was like those post game, streams that, you used to do with DNVR. I think I even missed that. Like I have that like withdrawal post stream. Like who am I going to talk to about this? And so, I love, Leo, that you're bringing me on for this, because it's like almost like my church to be able to, get it all off my chest if we had a good game or otherwise, because I definitely missed, being able to chat with everybody, in those sessions, good or bad. But, and that's the best part about it is the people, for sure.
Yeah, man. Well, I guess with that, I'll just end off by asking, do you have anything to plug, Mitch? Pause. Is there anything you would like? Is there anything you got going on that you might want to plug, homie?
Yeah, by all means. Yeah. Commerce City Radio. It's me and Braden Nurse, who is the Rapids beat writer from the Denver Post. Once a week, for now, we're just doing an audio podcast where we talk about the game. We've been talking a lot of NWSL news because he's super plugged in terms of the reporting around stadiums and training grounds and what happens next and all that sort of stuff. And I think the combination this year of him being the journalist and me sort of playing the fan role is kind of the opposite of what I've been doing for the last 3 years at DNVR. And it's kind of made a pretty fun dynamic where I really just get to kind of just fire off takes and he has to sort of be the straight laced, like, like remember that he has to go talk to these guys all the time. It's been fun. I get to get my cowboy super yaya on myself, and it's something I've always really wanted to do, and it's been a good time. Working on getting a site going to just sort of match the pod where me and Braden can both get some written stuff out there. And then I got the other fun thing is I got Denver NWSL season ticket deposit put in. I'm ready. Like, get me to be a part of that.
Let's go.
If you like, I'm so prepared for superstar Trinity Rodman / pick one of the 3 super famous Colorado women to lead that team, and let's go. I'm so hyped. That's what I got going on. That's it. Those 2 things.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that for you. I have no streams. I am not a social content creator. I just show up when Leo asks, and I really appreciate it. I mean, if you guys have probably seen me, I'm at Daddy Shuttle on Twitter, and Crash the Cars here on YouTube. I don't have any other content really. I just do this for fun, and so I'm excited, Mitch, as well. I got those Denver and WSL deposits down the moment they went out because I have a 10-year-old daughter who literally wants to play for that club professionally when she's older. And
let's go.
Like, she came to me this last week and says, "Dad, I want to be a professional soccer player one day." I was like, "Well, you're going to have to start working a lot harder." She's got some good quality, but we're going to have to start training more. So yeah, I'm excited for that. I mean, even if she just goes and watches them, it will be happy. And so I'm excited. She was Sam Wilson for Sophia Wilson, my bad, for Halloween last year. So I mean, you can tell that she is a Colorado girl who wants to play soccer, and I'm excited for it. So yeah, but thanks again, Leo. I always appreciate being on these with you. And that's it.
Nice. Yeah, man. Well, I mean, and as far as here on the channel, anything rapid wise, my homies, I guess I'm gonna play it by ear. I'm gonna take I do want to at least maybe do a preview stream to the game. We'll see. I have to play it by ear. I'm probably gonna be in a lot of pine mash and on the pints, so we'll have to see. But yeah, like the homie said, look out for the content coming. I'm gonna try and vlog as much as I can. My homies, on this channel, not only is it up the Spurs. I said that wrong. Not only is it come on you Spurs, but it's also up the fucking Pids. I had a good one, my homies. This was a good one. Let's go up the Pids, baby.